Well, I'll actually just address his last remarks there. He says that some of our desires do not have reasons, but that's not true. Just because we don't know what the reasons are doesn't mean they don't have reasons. We always have conflicting desires. So how do we decide which desires are going to prevail? We have to have some sort of way to adjudicate between desires. And the answer is that greater satisfaction, that greater state of satisfaction. You are more satisfied preferring that desire to all others, and that's ultimately the one fundamental desire by which you define which desires you're going to prefer. And the other idea is he's talking about ensuring people will act morally. I think he's confusing two different things here. We're talking about what the moral facts are versus how we're going to convince people to assimilate that and behave that way. How you're going to manipulate and control and educate people through psychology is a completely different question from what your goals in that respect should be. What you want to teach them is a different thing from how you teach them. So those are two different things, and they aren't connected to each other. And he keeps bringing up evolution. Evolution is actually irrelevant to determining the question of what the moral facts are. Everything that would make us better is the good, regardless of how we evolve to be. In fact, we're engaged in the process now of making us better people and actually overcoming evolution. We're actually fixing the mistakes of evolution. And that's what reason and facts come out to. And we have that example of, he talks about, what about behaviors that harm others but make us happy? That's actually not logically possible in the world we live in, because behaviors that harm others will always hurt us. Society will make sure of it. And in fact, if society doesn't make sure of it, it ought to make sure of it. And that's actually the conclusion of my moral theory. So I think once we get to the root of all these issues, we keep coming back to this idea that there is this one fundamental state that we're pursuing, and it all does work out in the end once you actually look at the actual facts on the ground and work out what system is going to achieve that in the best way. Because we have to live together. We're in a social system. We can't just act individually in disregard of how other people are going to react to us. And so when we're developing our moral facts, that's one of the facts we have to take into